I don't see anybody else talking about how hard it is going from turning heads to not turning heads. I can do a lap, but not one in this place fancies me.
Fellas, in my last video, I told you guys that women do not know what to do or how to feel in the absence of your sexual attraction to her. I told you guys that the woman needs your sexual energy to work with, to bounce off of, and to play with. And it is this sexual energy that she alchemizes into something else. If you know what you are doing, then she will turn your sexual energy into something romantic. And if you don't know what you are doing, then she will turn your sexual energy into something she can exploit you with. The lady in this video is feeling dejected because she's coming to the realization that she no longer has an abundance of sexual energy to alchemize. Imagine a wizard coming to the realization that he is running out of mana and there is nothing he can do to get it back. He is losing his ability to cast spells, just like the woman in the video is losing her ability to cast spells. Both the wizard and the woman have been reduced to only being able to do magic on frogs and crabs. And in time, the frogs and the crabs too won't be affected by their spells. The wizard, who casts spells in order to get the things he wants, now has to prepare for a different type of life. He can no longer fly, so he will need a car. And he can no longer summon things before him, so he will need an Amazon account. The woman is similar. She can no longer alchemize sexual energy left, right, and center to get the things she wants, so she needs to make wholesome changes. A woman who is intelligent can see this in her future, and she has the foresight to see it in the horizon. So a woman who is like this will make these wholesome changes or prepare for these wholesome changes in advance. But a woman who isn't intelligent, a woman who is very compulsive, a woman who is very, very driven by her ego, she's unable to see it until she feels it. But both women will make these wholesome changes regardless if they prepare for it or not. And she makes these wholesome changes through you, the man. She needs a husband or a boyfriend or a placeholder so she can continue to get the things she has always gotten through her manipulation of sexual energy. The woman is aware that her ability to alchemize sexual energy has a time limit, but her ability to psychologically and emotionally manipulate a man knows no bounds, doesn't have a time limit. This isn't love, fellas. The woman is a pragmatist. This isn't love, this isn't romance, and this isn't fate. This is business. The woman does not love. She is in the business of love. She advertises herself, she markets herself, she places a premium on herself, and she sells herself. When she's negotiating with you, she is lowering your value and she is raising her value. She wants to get to know you, not because of whimsy, but because she needs information on you. She needs to know what price to sell at. And the more direct you are, the more truthful you are, the better deals she can strike for herself. Like any other great negotiator. She wants to know your values, not because she wants values to align. She wants to know your values so she can trap you and ensnare you in your own values. You see, the woman needs a combination of your values, your guilt, access to your emotions, and access to your logical systems in order to ensnare you and manipulate you until you die. The woman does not love. She submits to greater powers and she dominates and controls weaker powers. Now, I've said this to you before. Maybe me saying that is a bit harsh, but when you look into the actual concept of love, the woman does not love. Love is a form of charity. It is not a feeling-based thing. It is an action-based thing tied into the value-driven, tied into individuals who have a desire to provide and protect. So the woman does not love, or she doesn't love like a man loves. She submits to greater powers and she dominates and controls weaker powers. I've said in my previous video, many of the times that a woman has rejected you, she's actually being merciful and she's actually being graceful because she knows she could dominate and control you if she wanted to. She knows that she could derive maximum value from you, and she's having to stop herself from seeing you as prey. She's being merciful and graceful by not piercing her fangs into your neck. When she's submitting to greater powers, she is fawning, she is freezing, she feels fear, she feels anxiety, she defers to it, wants to please it, satisfy it, and she experiences limerence and fixation. And we know this because of psychological phenomena like Stockholm syndrome. When a woman tells you that a man is giving her butterflies, she is actually communicating to you that a man is giving her anxiety, fellas. Butterflies is simply anxiety with a positive valence. Women are driven by their emotions, so they are driven by arousal, and there are fewer things more arousing than fear. So they are attracted to the things they fear. There are fewer things more arousing than the taboo. So the woman is also attracted to the things she shouldn't be attracted to. Fear and the taboo sits at the height of her attraction, fellas. You trigger these things through power, audacity, and grandiosity. You don't trigger these things through weakness, meekness, subservience, and compliance. Now, in this video, I'm going to explain to you what the true language of the woman is and where you guys always go wrong. You guys think that the true language of the woman is emotion because the woman is emotional. And this is specifically where you guys go wrong. The true language of the woman is power because power is always felt emotionally. The woman is a feeling creature. She understands her environment, eyes closed, representing a rejection of what the mind can see, aka the objective truth, or you could say the obvious truth. And she feels her way through life with her hands, representing an acceptance of things that feel good and rejection of things that feel bad, aka her own subjective truth and her own understanding of something. What feels good always feels like power, and what feels bad always feels like weakness. There is a correlation between power and emotion, and in this video, fellas, I am going to bless you with a form of wisdom and a practicality that you guys could practice immediately that will change your life.
I love a guy who like gives me no attention. I love it. Like if you text me or call me too much, like I will never speak to you again. I love a guy. I love it.
I love how like 5 minutes.
love it.
You're like, I am obsessed when they treat me like absolute shit. And then also guys all in Miami taking notes right now.
I'm being dramatic. Like I just don't like someone who is too mushy gushy and all over, you know?
Yeah, I
just
feel
like
like
give me some space because I don't, do you like horoscopes?
I actually find it so funny when fellas come to me asking me, oh, what do I say when I'm speaking to a woman? What question should I ask? I'm thinking, brother, you're thinking? This is why the civilized man does so poorly with women. You will have 100 times more success with women if you actually turn your brain off rather than trying to force it to work at 500%. The woman doesn't require any type of conscious thought. Like literally run on autopilot with women and you'll have success. The effort you put in trying to think about what logical thing to say, trying to piece together a coherent sentence together is only going to go against you.
It's like, do you believe in that at all?
Yeah, I do. What are you?
I'm a Sagittarius.
What does that mean?
I feel
that's
like
the
I
one
like
I don't
to
know
be
about.
very like independent and like I don't like to be bothered. I don't like to feel like trapped.
Smothered.
Like, if someone makes me feel smothered, I will run so far away they'll never see me again.
Dude, I'm a Leo. I'm like, if I feel like I can dominate you, like I will literally eat you alive and I will never speak to you again. Get out of here with that.
So the woman's language is power. And once you see this, fellas, you can't unsee it. She is unattracted to the men who display effort because effort is something the weak puts in the woman's eyes. The woman looks at the world and she sees that the powerful are the nobility and the weak are the laborers. One has inherent value whilst the other has to prove its value. Now, this is counterintuitive to the man who thinks the woman's language is emotion, because that man thinks she perceives things through the lens of compassion and pity, when in truth she perceives things through the lens of power. The woman will always frame herself as powerful, and how the men she is dealing with reacts to that is one of her main tests. If you submit to her perceived power, then you are weak. And if you don't submit to her perceived power, then you are strong. The woman knows she is weak because the woman isn't vulnerable with herself to develop strength. She is an expert at being able to identify others who are also not vulnerable with themselves. I'll say that again. She is an expert at being able to identify others who are also not vulnerable with themselves. So she is an expert at being able to identify others who are also weak. She does not understand the strong, but she identifies the strong when she cannot see herself in them. This is why polarity is so important when dealing with women. This is why masculinity is at the height of things she is attracted to. And she conceptualizes masculinity as something that is the opposite to her. This is why familiarity breeds contempt and why masculinity breeds attraction and submission. The woman understands security as power and insecurity as weakness, as powerlessness. The weakness expresses itself as attachment to outcome, fear, avoidance, emotional longing, emotional yearning, emotional outsourcing, a desire to prove worth, defense mechanisms, and coping mechanisms. Your security will make her feel insecure, and your insecurity will make her feel secure. The woman can only feel like she is falling in love when she feels insecure, as insecurity is literally the mechanisms behind what she conceptualizes as love. In order for a man to project power to the woman, he must project security to the woman. And in order for the man to develop security within himself, he must embark on the masculine journey to independence and 100% vulnerability with himself. This is how the man alchemizes his weakness into strength. And it is this strength that is communicated to the woman without the man having to open his mouth. It is projected through his actions, his behaviors, his reactions, his perspective, his mentality, his nervous system, and his ego. His ego that is full of vitality and grandiosity and detached from fear and attachment. Now, let's get on to the practical. Fellas, keep up with me. I promise you, the goal that is waiting for you at the end of this video will change your life. The man who hasn't committed himself to the masculine journey of overcoming his fears through vulnerability with himself will always communicate to the woman through weakness and emotion. And a man who has committed himself to the masculine journey of overcoming his fear through vulnerability with himself will always communicate to the woman through strength and vulnerability. But the vulnerability they communicate is completely different. You see, the weak man emotionally outsources his vulnerability onto the woman. I'll say that again. The weak man emotionally outsources his vulnerability onto the woman because he is too afraid to be vulnerable with himself. And a man who is too afraid to be vulnerable with himself hasn't actually committed himself to the masculine journey. And because of this, fellas, his masculinity is performative. It is fake. It is pretend. Fellas, understand what I'm saying here. The woman's ultimate test and ultimate trap is to get the man to open up. And when he does, he, without knowing or understanding, exposes himself as performing masculinity. Very few men are actually masculine because very few men are actually vulnerable with themselves. The rest of the men refuse to be vulnerable with themselves, or they have an inability to be vulnerable with themselves. So they have no choice but to perform masculinity. The masculinity the men who are vulnerable with themselves has is true. But the masculinity the men who aren't vulnerable with themselves has is fake. And this has major repercussions and consequences to the women who are unable to identify who is truly masculine from the men who are performing masculinity. This is the difference between life and death for the women, fellas. I'll go even further. The men who perform masculinity do not even believe in masculinity. They see it as something they have to perform, and they are jealous that the women do not have to perform it. And because of this, these men will always either pedestalize the woman or hate the woman. This is the core behind why women are so unattracted to men who pedestalize them and display any type of jealousy or envy towards them about anything. Because these men have refused to be vulnerable with themselves. They do not understand the masculine. They perform it. They do not understand the feminine. They resent it. And they do not understand themselves. This creates a secretive inner world where they hide who they are from others and, more importantly, from themselves. They have not worked on themselves because they do not accept themselves. So who they are is dark, underdeveloped, spiteful, resentful, hateful, racist, and nihilistic. They haven't embarked on the masculine journey, so they see themselves as closer to the woman than they do to the man. They see themselves as women who are not allowed to be women. I'll say that again. They see themselves as women who are not allowed to be women. They are either jealous of the woman or they pedestalize the woman, as they see masculinity as something they have to perform, but the women do not. So they believe that the women get to freely express who they truly are, whilst he is cursed to never get to express who he truly is. And because of this, the darkness within him never gets to see the light of day. So it continues to be dark, and he must continue to hide who he truly is from others because it is unacceptable. And with each year that goes by, it grows more and more and more unacceptable. This man has all of the negative qualities of the woman because he is not allowed to share his vulnerabilities with others like the woman is. And he has all of the negative qualities of the man because he refuses to be vulnerable with himself. So he does not get to alchemize his weaknesses into strength. So he has never sharpened man's tools, and he has never developed man's superpowers. Consequentially, he incorrectly sees himself like a woman who isn't allowed to be a woman. He sees himself like a woman because he sees the woman as weak. But unlike the woman, he isn't allowed to be weak. He must perform masculinity. This inability to be vulnerable with himself forces him to outsource this vulnerability onto others. He does not see himself as responsible for his own vulnerability. He locks his vulnerability away, waiting and searching, seeking, yearning and hoping that one day he will meet the right woman who will allow him to access his own vulnerability. He believes that one day the right woman will hold space for him in order for him to be able to bring out his vulnerability to the surface. He does not see it as his responsibility to access his vulnerability. He only believes that a woman is able to draw this vulnerability out of him. This is the concept of the magical other half. These are the projections of the magical other half. That one day he will meet his perfect romantic match, and this woman will accept him for all of his flaws, all of his warts and all of his faults, and his dark, underdeveloped, spiteful, ugly inner child will finally be accepted, welcomed, and loved. So he is finally able to work on who he truly is, grow it, and develop it. Fellas, you have to understand, every human being has a deep desire to be vulnerable. Because with vulnerability comes strength. In order to grow and develop, we all must overcome pain, suffering, fear, and truth. This is how we are renewed with greater character, greater competency, greater perspective, greater joy, greater everything. This is how human beings grow and develop. The woman, just like these men, do not see it as their responsibility or their duty to actually be vulnerable with themselves in order to grow and develop. This is the reason why women look for men to provide them with the safe space that can actually allow them to be vulnerable with themselves. But these men are not women. They can't go to another man to provide this safe space for them. And they can't go to the woman to provide this safe space for them, because the woman does not have the capability or the ability to provide a safe space for a man. When a woman is luring, the woman pretends to have this safe space for men. And this is the reason why the woman goes through great effort to get men to open up and be vulnerable with them. This is why the woman goes through great effort to try to see your true colors, your inner world, because it is a trap, fellas. It is the woman's ultimate test and her ultimate trap, because when you fall into this trap, you finally expose yourself as a performative man. The woman does not understand this. She's motivated to do this unconsciously and subconsciously. But as soon as you fall into this trap, her compulsion will end and she will have clarity. This is what I refer to as post-commitment clarity. This is the clarity that women get. Us men, we get our post-nut clarity. The women get her clarity when they either get you to submit or when they can get you to open up. This is when the unconscious is made conscious to the woman. She will simply be disgusted by you, unattracted to you, and she will seek another man. She will seek another man, hoping that the next man is truly masculine and not performative. Fellas, listen to what I'm saying very closely. It might seem evil, it might seem harsh, and it might seem very manipulative, this process that women subject you to. But what you don't understand, what you've not been taught, the ways in which you've been disempowered, the ways in which you've been misled, is that you think it's acceptable for you to have a secret inner world like the woman does, when it's not. You are not a woman. You are not supposed to have a secret inner world. You are supposed to expose yourself to everything. You're supposed to surrender yourself to yourself, surrender yourself to life, surrender yourself to God. When you are able to do this, you won't have a secret inner world. The reason why the woman believes everybody has a secret inner world, and the reason why the woman is compelled to try and uncover everybody's true colors, is because the woman has a secret inner world. She has true colors. She has a side that she keeps secretive behind closed doors, and she has a side that she performs. She has a side that she shows the world. But this isn't who she truly is, and who she truly is usually the opposite of the side she presents. This is who she is, but she cannot accept the man that she is going to invest into, the man that she is going to have the children with, the man that she is going to submit to. She cannot accept a man who also operates in the same manner. This man cannot provide her with a safe space for herself to be vulnerable. The woman needs the man to provide her with a safe space for her to be vulnerable in order for her to grow and develop. But if you haven't grown and developed, if you aren't vulnerable with yourself, then how are you able to create a safe space for which the woman to be vulnerable with herself? You are looking to her to save you from your emotional turmoil. And the woman is looking for a man to save her from her emotional turmoil. You can't both be looking for the same things. This is the reason why women aren't attracted to melancholic men, romantic men, anxious and desperate men, men who are seeking love, searching for love, men who emotionally long, men who emotionally yearn, because that's who she is. You're playing her role. She's looking for the same things you're looking for. She's going to smother a man. She's going to over-validate a man. She's going to be crazy towards a man, be attached to outcomes of a man, try to lock a man down, be insecure, cry, suffer with uncertainty and suffer with ambiguity. Only one person can play that role in an intersexual dynamic, fellas. In an intersexual dynamic, one person is leading that dynamic and the other person is having a safe space provided for them. The other person is experiencing all of their feelings. And in order for you as a man to be a leader, you have to have already overcome the things that the woman hasn't overcome. You have to be onto doing something else. The woman is looking for a man who is able to slay other people's dragons. Not a man who is continuously still refusing to slay his own dragons. The woman has dragons to slay, and she needs a man to be able to lead her and guide her and coach her and comfort her in the process of doing so. This is the reason why the woman is so attracted to a man with boundaries. It's the man's boundaries that provide the safe space for her. The rewards the man gives to the woman for behaving correctly and by moving closer to vulnerability with herself and to him, and the punishments the man gives to the woman for crossing the lines of those boundaries, when the woman is walking away from being vulnerable with herself and being vulnerable with him. Being vulnerable with yourself, there's nothing more terrifying than doing that. This is the reason why women misbehave. They are fighting against being vulnerable with themselves. So the woman is always going to fight back against that. The woman submits to a man. But if the woman isn't vulnerable with herself, if the woman's got defense mechanisms, coping mechanisms, a desire to control, then she's not going to submit perfectly. She's going to consistently fight back against that submission, even if her submitting to the man is the right thing for her to do. It doesn't matter. She's not vulnerable with herself. She's paradoxical. She's counterintuitive. She's pathological. So the woman is looking for a man who isn't any of those things. So when the woman is trying to get you to open up, fellas, it's because she can sense that maybe you're performing masculinity.
So, fellas, at the beginning of the video where I was talking about how women are in the business of love, you have to understand that the amount of men that the woman can truly love, truly submit to, truly have the type of idealistic relationships that they want to have, the types of man that she can truly respect and admire and be attracted to, it's such a low percentage of men. You know, and the chances are these men are going to be taken by better women, you know, more attractive women, or if she waits too long, younger women. That's the chances. Like what is the percentage of these men? What, like 20%? How many men are genuinely masculine? Probably like 20%. How many men perform masculinity? Probably like 60%. You know, and then the rest of the percentage, they don't even perform masculinity anymore, to be fair. They're not masculine and they don't perform masculine. God knows who they are. All right? So the chances of the woman genuinely being able to love is very, very slim. You know, the woman falls in love with character and spirit, actions, reactions, behavior, narrative. She falls in love with those elements. It's not as easy as it is for us to fall in love. We can just fall in love with physique and if the person is nice. Think about how many women we can fall in love with. You know, it's very easy for a man to fall in love. For me, if the woman looks how I want her to look, and she's and she's doing what I want her to do consistently, and she's not doing the things I don't want her to do, I can fall in love. All right? And I think that's quite the same for most men. You know, as a man, we're full of love, really. Anyway, we have such a desire to love. All right? We have, you know, we're the male mammals, so we are tasked with providing and protecting, and, you know, as I said in my previous videos, we have a powerful desire to love, you know, to give, to be generous, to shelter, to guard, to coach, to guide, to teach. That's us men. You know, the woman has a different psychology to that. So the woman is in the business of love because the chances that she's going to experience love is very, very slim. Very slim. Most women, they share men. You know, the women who don't want to give up on love whatsoever, they'll decide to share a man with other women. The very small percentages of men that she can actually fall in love with and submit to and fixate on for long periods of time. It's very, very slim. All right, and so you guys have to watch out for that because it is within the woman's mating strategy to eventually just psychologically manipulate one of you fellas to do her bidding. All right, she's aware that her ability to alchemize sexual energy will end one day and it's slowly fading away. So she's going to be instilling other things into your mind. These things can be implemented forever until you die. Just look at the logical systems and the belief systems of society today. Look how easy it is to condition and indoctrinate men today. The woman understands, I can enslave you sexually, but if that doesn't work, then I can enslave you with your own values, with your own logic, and with your own fears, with your own beliefs. I can enslave you with these things. All right? So, as I said, this is something for you to fully digest and fully understand, you know? It's just our mating strategies, and our mating strategies conflict. This is how nature has fun. I call it nature's tricks, all right? Because the man's mating strategy and the woman's mating strategy, in many ways, is designed to conflict, and it's many ways designed for only one of you to be able to have your way. And as a man, in order for you to be able to have your way with the woman, you genuinely need to be masculine. You can't perform this masculinity and have your way long term with a woman. It's literally, the game is set up for you to fail. The woman has the testing mechanisms to expose you, as I always say. So you guys have to be very, very careful when a woman is trying to get you to open up. When a woman is trying to get you to open up. I've known men where a woman has been pressuring him to do butt stuff. And then when she let him do it, right? So let her put a finger in there. Yeah. And then one day, whilst he was sleeping, right? Do you know what she did? Because she had a strap on. She put the strap on into him. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, and me as well. When you're telling me this story, I'm looking at him like, yo, buddy, I don't know what possessed you to tell this to me. I was at work. I know I used to help him with girls. I don't know what possessed him to tell this to me. not understanding that I'm now going to see you differently. I don't know why. You should have taught that one to the grave. I don't understand why people don't take certain things to the grave. Should have taught that one to the grave, but he decided to tell me. And then a couple months later, he found out that she cheated, and she broke up with him. This was like literally immediately, right? In many, many ways, a woman's going to try and get you to open up, not just emotionally. She'll try to get you to do things, and if you do it, yuck. I didn't know he was like that. You know, Chud the Builder, the fella that I put in the video. So he was exposed to have been pegged by a black woman, right? You know, Chud the Builder fits the category so well, the performative masculinity, when really he's just a woman he isn't allowed to be a woman. You know, he's just a man who's not vulnerable with himself, so he's outsourcing stuff. So even now he's begging people to help. And, you know, how are you racist? But then you're allowing the same people you're racist towards, you're allowing them to peg you. It's just all the way messed up and confused. It's just nasty. You know, but a lot of men, what I was saying earlier, it's facts, trust me. A lot of men are women who are just not allowed to be women, and that's why behind closed doors and with the fake safe space provided by a woman, he will do woman stuff. He wants to be treated like a woman. He wants to move his body around like a woman. He wants to get licked out, and when he's getting licked out, he's lifting his legs up like a woman and giggling like a woman. Fellas, you know I know these things because the amount of women I've dealt with, I've slept with, and they've told me about other guys that I know and how they are behind closed doors. I'm always very shocked to find out how a guy is behind closed doors. So shocked. It's the performative masculinity. I can assure you how you perceive me is exactly how I am behind closed doors. There's no difference. There's no difference between how I am and how I am behind closed doors. I told you. Behind closed doors, I'm just probably a lot more spiritual. It's probably that. Right? But I don't have any weird side. I don't have any secrets, you know? Like, I don't really have any secrets that I can't tell you guys. So, but anyway, behind closed doors, a lot of men, you know, and then they want to get pegged and they want to wear women's clothes and they just want to act and be treated like a woman because they're pathological. They see themselves as women who aren't allowed to be women. And that's why their masculinity is dark. That's why they don't understand masculinity. Their masculinity is always dark and toxic, and it's just such a bravado. It's just this incorrect, you know. And they don't have any aura with their masculinity. They don't understand it because they're not actually practicing it. And in being able to practice masculinity, it's a process of vulnerability. The types of vulnerability a man can unlock for himself, a woman just simply can never. And that's the reason why the woman can never be masculine like a man is. All right? Masculinity and vulnerability, they're completely locked in with each other. You know, and this is because the man is able to provide security for himself. A woman can't provide security for herself. Even in society where we have police, where we have all types of institutions, politics, laws, we have all types of institutions of security that is being provided for the woman. Still, she feels so unsafe. Still, she's consistently seeking for security, looking for security. And the truth is, there is no amount of external security that you can give a woman to make her feel secure, because the security she's looking for comes from within. It's the vulnerability that she's unable to unlock for herself. She needs a man who has unlocked vulnerability within himself to be able to help her unlock this vulnerability for her. Right? It's just that simple. And even if that relationship was to end, even if that man was to be able to successfully unlock that vulnerability in that woman and that relationship was to end, as soon as they break up, that woman will no longer have the safe space. That woman will go straight back to being exactly how she was before. She literally needs the containment of a man to practice vulnerability. It's not something that she can ever have for herself permanently. It's just how it goes, fellas. Guys, I hope you love this video like I love you. Thank you guys so much for the support. I've been sick. I've been really unwell. Everybody in my WhatsApp, please just wait for me to get back to you. I'm very, very unwell and I'm super busy. I've had a headache every day, you know, so please let me get back to you guys. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not ignoring you. I love you guys for seeing something in me. that you think can help you, very honored. Please just continue to have some patience with me, and I'll get back to you and I'll give you my all. Everybody who's emailed me, I know I've not been able to get back to anybody all month, and I've been getting about 15, 16 inquiries a day. So please have some patience for me. I need to regulate myself, get back into full health so I can get back to you guys. You know, literally, there's nothing I can do right now whilst I'm not well. I'm actually quite dumb when I'm not well, when I'm not functioning correctly. I am neurodivergent. I have executive functioning issues if I'm not looking after myself, you know, so please show me some patience, and I'll get back to you and I'll show you the love that you're showing me. I've had 2 beefs with 2 people already that was showing me a lot of love, and because I couldn't get back in time, they switched on me, they turned on me. It feels like a betrayal. Please guys, don't betray me. I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm just busy, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, so love you guys so much. Please leave a like, leave a comment, sign up for one-on-one coaching. I'm going to expand and open up some new things. I'm going to launch my Patreon soon. I'm going to start doing group sessions as well. I'm going to start doing live Q&As. I'm going to start doing a whole bunch of stuff to kind of accommodate the demand that I have now, you know, because I'm going to have to start doing these things. All of these things is giving me a headache, but it's a good headache to have. Anyway, love you guys. See you on the next one.